Hello, I'm Paul Lynn, talking to you today about a little bit of photography and something that is going to kind of give you an insight into the mind of a photographer. Once you really get this and grasp this and have this in your mind the whole time you're behind the camera, this all by itself is going to transform the images that you create. This one thing will quite possibly make you better in terms of photography than any other piece of advice or any other idea that you ever get in your head. This is one of the basic things when you're talking about any kind of imagery, whether you're talking about clip art, desktop publishing, or actual, paintings, art, or, really great photography. That is that the artist, or in our case, you, the photographer, you are responsible for the entire image, okay? Now, okay, of course, you're the one taking the picture. You're the one that decides where to point your camera. You're the one that decides when to hit the shutter release and capture the image. So yeah, of course you're responsible. But no, that's not what I mean, not by far. When you think about it, what is your photograph really made of? Well, now we shoot digital. We're probably not, most of us, still using film. We're shooting digital images, and that digital image is composed of millions and millions and millions of little dots called pixels. Well, here's the thing I want you to think of. As the photographer, as the person standing behind the camera, you are responsible for every single pixel in your image. Okay? Now stop and think about that. That's actually quite a lot of responsibility. Okay? Now, if you're at a party and you're just kind of taking pictures of friends, or you're at a concert, way back in the cheap seats, and you're holding your cell phone up and you're just happy to get anything that even shows what's happening on the stage. That's not what I'm talking about when I say photography. That's taking pictures, okay? There's nothing wrong with taking pictures. We all do it. Every time my dog is doing something cute, I'll whip out my phone and I'll take a picture. But when I get behind the camera and I'm on a mission to create an image, okay, I'm not taking pictures anymore. I am now doing photography. And the difference is that I am responsible and I care about every single pixel in that image. Okay, so for demonstration, let's take a look at a couple of pictures that I've got here in front of me. Here's one of my motorcycles, my Hayabusa, and this is one that I just kind of took candidly out in the street. And you can see, the motorcycle looks fine. It's a nice bike, but the picture by and large is really unremarkable and unimpressive. You've got some cars in the background, what looks like a big rock in the middle of the street, some bushes overgrowing a wall, some grass that's, kind of missing from the side of the cracked sidewalk, some dirt in the street. You see what I'm saying? I have not taken responsibility for every pixel in this image. On the contrary, I was just focused on my subject and I just wanted to take a picture of the motorcycle, and that's really all. I got that image, but I did not create something that anybody's really going to want to be looking at much longer than they have to. Whereas this image, on the other hand, I took quite a bit more responsibility for this image. Now you can see this one I actually staged somewhere that had a more appealing background, and you see the way the sky opens up kind of between the high points of the trees. That wasn't an accident. I still have some things in the image that I'm really not happy with and didn't want to be there, such as the oil spots in the street. There's some grass growing on the side of the road. You can see the orange from a roof of a house coming back coming through the trees back by the back tire. The motorcycle itself wasn't washed, so you can see that there's a little bit of dust on it and some water spots and things like that. So, this is definitely a strong step in the right direction. I still am not taking responsibility for every single picture in the image, but this is certainly a big step forward from the last one. When you look at, you go outside and, your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend's boyfriend, whoever, is standing there and, you take a picture. You get home and, you look at that picture and I mean, maybe there's, a cat in the background crossing the street, or there's an ugly car going by, there's a flock of birds in the air. You did not take responsibility for every pixel. And outside, it's a lot more difficult to take responsibility for every single pixel of the image because, we live in a busy world. There's a lot of stuff when we go outside. I don't know about you. I personally live in a city of a little over 1 million people. So, and I live right, pretty much in the busiest part of that city. So when I go outside, there's so much stuff going on. There's so much stuff everywhere. And, it's really hard for me to just go out and take a candid photo and be responsible for every pixel in that image, especially if I'm using a really wide angle lens, because, that captures so much space. I mean, what am I going to do? Go out there and clean the buildings and sweep the streets? And, there's no way to really do that well. Now, I mean, I can widen my aperture and blur everything behind my subject. That's one way of taking more control of the image when I'm outside. I can stage my shots, like I can put my model in a specific place with, a wall or, some trees or something behind. So now, I'm being very selective about what is in my image and what's not in my image. You see the difference here? Now I'm taking control of every pixel. When I'm working here in the studio, it's so much easier. I've got a background, or I've got a green screen, or a white, background, or a black background, and I've got my subject, and I'm controlling every single bit of light that's falling on my subject. And if there's colored lights or colors on the background, I'm in charge of everything. So it's very, very easy when I'm in my studio to take that complete control of the image. Outdoors, on location, or, doing environmental photography, certainly it's a lot harder. You have to be more selective. Here's another motorcycle shot, same thing, very candid in the street. At least this time I, kind of got over to the side of it, but you can see I kind of cut the tail of the motorcycle off on the back. There's oil spots in the street. There's a bunch of, posters glued to a light post behind the motorcycle. Nothing in this image really looks very appealing. Even if the motorcycle itself is, well, in my opinion, stunning. That's why I bought it and painted it that way. Same motorcycle. Again, quite a bit more responsibility for every pixel, but still not 100%. Dirty tires, oil stains in the street. You can see a red car kind of clipped off in the back left part of this image. And that bright red is the only, real dominant color besides the blues. So it kind of makes your eyes want to drift over to that. And, you've got what looks like an old sneaker tossed down into the canal. I don't know what that is down there, but, again, I staged the image, but because it's an outside image, I didn't shoot with a lot of blur in the background or anything. So there's just a whole lot of background there that really doesn't need to be there. Now, in my defense, this wasn't an attempt at photography. This was really me just taking a picture of the motorcycle to put it for sale and publish it on Facebook Marketplace. But, could I have done a much better image of this bike if I was so inclined? Yes. But even when you're outdoors, there's a couple of ways to do that. When you're using a telephoto lens, what that does is instead of taking in this much image, you're only taking in this much. So you're getting your subject, and rather than seeing this whole big street scene behind your subject, you're really just getting, a little tiny bit of whatever is directly behind the model. You see what I'm saying? By choosing that longer lens and standing a little further back from your model, you can cut out all of that extra background, which may actually be something you want in your image, or it may be superfluous and something you want to get rid of. Same thing for aperture. We all like these really fast lenses that blur everything, to the extreme. If I focus on your eye, the tip of your nose and the lobe of your ear are going to be blurry if I'm using my fastest lens. And with a lens like that, man, it's real easy for me to it doesn't matter if there's a whole carnival or a circus or something happening behind you. If I shoot you with that lens wide open and you're standing 2 feet in front of it, everything behind you is just going to be a blur of colors. You see what I'm saying? But regardless, maybe I want all of that detail in the background for whatever reason. Maybe I don't. But the thing is, I have to keep that in mind, that when I get back home and I look at an image, I should not be surprised by anything within that rectangle, okay? If I'm doing my job as a photographer, when I'm taking images, when I'm out there composing and planning and visualizing and deciding what glass to use and what settings to use, if I'm doing my job, then I know exactly what is within my frame. I know what it's going to look like when that image is done. I'm not going to click and then go and have to look and, oh, wow, hey, that looks pretty good, right? You're making these decisions before you ever hit the shutter release, okay? Here's a picture of my dog. This is just a cell phone grab shot. And, you can see, there's a myriad of problems, but really what I want to focus on is, there's some pillows in the background kind of sticking up over his back and off, under his ear to the left of the shot. And while he's well posed and, fairly well composed, he's also got some dirt under his claws. And, I have not taken full responsibility for this image. Now, here's one where I actually did take responsibility for every pixel of this image. And right away, out of these 6 images, this is the only one that I would actually call photography. The rest of them, they were pictures. Some were, kind of unplanned, and others were, you can tell a little bit more effort went into them. But then you get to something where the photographer actually took responsibility for every single pixel in the image, and this is what you get. Something that is focused where it's supposed to be focused, blurred where it doesn't need to be focused. All of the colors kind of work together. The frame is right. I'm not saying this is a masterpiece that you're going to see in an art museum one day, but what I am saying is that this is the image I set out to create, and from corner to corner, this is exactly what I wanted. I took responsibility for every single pixel in this image. So the next time you're behind the camera, the next time you're not just taking a picture, but really going after a specific image, that's what I want you to think of and have that in your mind. You are responsible for every single pixel of that image. And take your time sometimes and just get behind the camera, look at the LCD, or even better, get your eye right up to the viewfinder and just study what you're seeing. If you've got a stop down for depth of field that gives you a preview, of how the image is going to look with the aperture and everything, use that and look at the image and figure out what is it that you like, what is it you don't like, how could you improve this image by eliminating or adding certain things to your background. If that's hard, if you're finding that difficult outdoors, then come inside. Maybe you have a studio, maybe you probably don't have a studio, in which case, if you're in the house and you've got a plain wall anywhere, guess what? You now have a studio. If you've got a bed sheet that you can drape over the table, guess what? You now have a studio. If you've got a flashlight that you can, shine into a sheet, you now have a softbox, okay? So there's a lot of ways to create a studio in a pinch. If you've ever, gone to somebody's house to do a portrait, you don't bring your studio with them. You're very frugal and about what kind of gear you can bring. Maybe a couple of lights, maybe not. But it's happened to all of us that you get to that person's house and you're like, do you have a white sheet and do you have a black sheet and I need a blanket I can throw over this window to control the light. And by the time you're done, you've got sheets here, blankets there, you're bouncing light off of dishes and plates and things like that to make the light source a little bit bigger and bounce it and make it softer. You're doing all these crazy things, and that's okay. That is that's professional. The trick isn't to have the most expensive gear. The trick is to create the image that you want. And that means you really have to get into that mindset. You are responsible for every single pixel in that image. Okay? That's it. That's what I've got for you today. If you like it, obviously subscribe. I'm going to be creating a whole lot more content. It's all going to be good. It's all going to be useful. You're not going to want to miss any of it. And definitely remember, when you're out behind the camera, take your time and think about this, analyze your images. It's not something that's going to happen overnight or from watching one video. This is something you're going to have to practice for weeks before it becomes an automatic part of your mindset when you're behind the camera. But take responsibility for every part of that image and get to that point where you get home and you're reviewing and you are not surprised by anything you see in the frame. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys. Cheers.